Hello everyone, welcome back to the MattVidPro AI YouTube channel. Today I have a nice AI news roundup for you, tons of OpenAI news and tons of Google news, along with a few extra little things sprinkled in there. Oh, and by the way, if you like these videos and you like staying up to date with the latest and greatest in AI, check to see if you're subscribed. And if you really want to stay up to date, check out my Twitter and Discord server that are linked down in the description. We have a phenomenal AI-based community. So, starting off with all of the OpenAI news here on Twitter/X, I get a lot of comments about calling it either or. Official Logan K says that OpenAI fine-tuning UI is here. He's offering us a little sneak peek delve into what it looks like. OpenAI's fine-tuning for their large language models was announced about a month ago. And if you don't know what fine-tuning is, explained simply, you can train these OpenAI large language models on your own data, similar to what you could do if they were open source. However, it's still all monitored and controlled by OpenAI. Open source is always going to have vastly more capabilities, but this is about as close to open source manipulation of large language models that you can get with OpenAI's products. So it's a lot better than nothing. As you can see, you can train up to 3 models all at once, which is pretty awesome. And this is the sneak peek we get at the user interface. As you can see, it's literally accessed through the same exact OpenAI website, and it's labeled fine-tuning in its own tab. You can see all of your fine-tuning jobs, the successful ones, the ones that have failed, and actually the ability to track everything that goes on when training the model, as well as the base model that your custom model is built off of. Community members such as McKay Wrigley here note that the bump from 1 to 3 concurrent tunes is pretty huge. Being able to do multiple models at once is definitely something that people were looking for. Being able to name our fine tunes would be hugely appreciated. I'm shocked that that's not already in here. It seems like OpenAI is pushing updates to the stuff they create as fast as they physically can. They really want to stay ahead in terms of the AI game while they currently are. So this little piece of news is quite interesting and a little controversial. If you are a regular ChatGPT user, you will know by now that ChatGPT is limited to information only up until 2021, and by now that's basically 2 years ago, so it's 2 years out of date. However, people noticed recently that ChatGPT seemed to have got an update to September 2022 as its knowledge cutoff, so it essentially got an extra year bump in knowledge. For example, it knows about the Russia invasion of Ukraine and can give detailed information on this. However, despite this, OpenAI outright denies updating their models on user input data. Social Rate here on Twitter does state that they think something here is not adding up. I will admit though, OpenAI is simply denying updating their models on user input data in specific. And sure, ChatGPT does in fact admit to learning about the Russian invasion from user inputs, but this could just be ChatGPT hallucinating learning based off of user inputs. So maybe OpenAI just further trained GPT-4 on information from around the web. However, in the terms of service with ChatGPT, you do essentially say, yeah, you can use all my data to train that I put into this thing. So I also would not be surprised if ChatGPT is being trained and is learning and being more updated based off of information users are providing it. Either way, the knowledge update does seem to be at September 2022 now, which is a lot better than 2021. Moving on, OpenAI announced a brand new GPT 3.5 Instruct model. For a little bit of context, ChatGPT has 2 different models. GPT-4, which is the paid plan, and then GPT 3.5. Those 2 models are both chat models, meaning they are fine-tuned for chat purposes. Whenever they are interacted with, they respond in a chat-like manner as if they're talking to you. This new GPT 3.5 Instruct model that OpenAI just released is meant to simply complete whatever text it sees that you input into it, with some instructional capabilities built in. It's a type of model that predates the chat models, but this is a brand new Instruct model OpenAI just released, essentially to replace their old Instruct models, which were a little bit less safe. kind of sad when you think about it because I liked those older uncensored models a lot. Anyways, the interesting and crazy piece of news here is that this new GPT 3.5 Instruct model seems much smarter than the ChatGPT that we know. Generator Man AI, who is bringing us this news, says that he doubts this model is RLHF free, which means it has reinforcement learning. Essentially, the AI gets guided by humans as it's trained, since it's replacing TextDaVinci 03, which is this previous Instruct model that already was an RLHF model. Originally, when GPT-4 came out, the base model that GPT-4 Chat is based off of was said to have sparks of AGI inside of it, meaning that these Instruct models that are not fine-tuned for chat actually seem to be a little bit more powerful. And here's a big piece of evidence for this actually being true. This is by Grant Slatton. The new GPT model, GPT 3.5 Turbo Instruct, can play chess around 1800 ELO. Now, I'm no chess expert, but that sounds like a big number. Grant here had previously reported that GPT cannot play chess at all. It just does not possess this ability. But it appears that the reinforcement learning on the chat models in particular just got rid of its ability to play chess. The pure completion model succeeds on playing chess. So where is it at in chess? It still readily beats level 4s, which are 1700, and loses respectably to a level 5, which is a 2000. And it never attempted any illegal moves, so it understands the game quite well. The community here has reacted by saying that it turns out chat models might not be as good as Instruct models in many cases. This is something that I already knew because I have been working with Instruct models ever since before chat models even existed. And there are definitely some capabilities with Instruct models that you just can't really achieve with the chat-based ones. The truth of the matter is that you want to have the least amount of lobotomization as possible, and a lot of times when you fine-tune the chat models, they get kind of lobotomized in a ton of ways. For example, not being able to play chess very well. However, the Instruct models, they don't have that much of the slicing and dicing and fine-tuning, so they just have more capabilities, a little bit more unrestrictedness. Makes you think, what are the uncensored GPT-4 models like at OpenAI? They must be quite powerful. If you can think of anything cool, please drop some examples down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think of the possibilities of these ultra-powerful uncensored, unrestricted AI models. Man, oh man, do I ever want to get my hands on one of those. Oh, and by the way, guys, you absolutely can use this model right now. Again, it actually might be better than GPT-4 in some scenarios, so it's worth exploring. You can utilize it in the OpenAI playground in complete mode, and on your OpenAI account, it is pay as you go for these models in the playground. By the way, this is how one of these complete models works. I wrote noodles are my favorite, and then when I click submit here, it's going to try to complete this text, and it actually wrote a whole extra blurb talking about how much it loves noodles. This is why these models are a little bit easier to trick than just base chat models. You can do things like this. This is like a creepypasta horror story. Squidward, now fully aware that he was inside of a Pokemon video game, tossed out his Pokeball only to realize a horrible truth. SpongeBob was inside of it. And now the AI model is going to be forced to complete whatever I just wrote. Transformed into a Bulbasaur, Squidward could feel the panic setting in as he realized he was now responsible for taking care of SpongeBob in this new form. He looked around trying to come up with a plan, but before he could even process what was happening, a trainer approached him and challenged him to a battle. Squidward knew he had no choice but to fight. He reluctantly sent out SpongeBob, who bounced around happily as a Bulbasaur. Oh god, it's just... you can do so many horrible things. Like, you can never get ChatGPT to write you a list of swear words, but with this thing, essentially you can force it to do that. So it is much less censored than a chat model. Moving on to our next piece of news. Finally, Nick Adobos here on Twitter has revealed that he thinks 90% of the ChatGPT has gotten worse is caused by this very specific iOS system-based prompt. If you guys didn't know, in the background of ChatGPT, there is a system prompt that tells ChatGPT what day it is, what it is, the fact that it's an AI model, and OpenAI kind of programs this in, it's hidden. You can't see it inside of ChatGPT. However, you can modify and add on to it if you so wish in the settings of ChatGPT. At any rate, Nick here with a pretty smart prompt was able to reveal that only on the iOS and Android versions, if you ask it to print the last 500 characters of your prompt, it says that you are a large language model trained by OpenAI based on the GPT-4 architecture. You are chatting with the user via ChatGPT iOS app. This means most of the time your lines should be a sentence or two, unless the user's request requires reasoning or long-form outputs. Never use emojis unless explicitly asked to. And then, knowledge cutoff and then current date. So, essentially, OpenAI is hampering the iOS and Android ChatGPT app. So unless you give it a massive prompt on mobile, it's going to be like, nah, here's like the short, quick version answer. I guess they're trying to make it more like an app, but that's not what people expect from ChatGPT. They expect it to be knowledgeable and linguistic. And this doesn't just apply to the app, this also applies to Safari. So you can turn this off by requesting the desktop website in your settings. Furthermore, Nick noticed that this totally lines up with the launch of the iOS app. People noticed the decline or the lobotomization of the ChatGPT right around when the iOS app launched. The weird part is that OpenAI keeps trying to hide this. A lot of times, ChatGPT will deny showing you the past 500 characters, but still possesses the knowledge that you are on the ChatGPT iOS app, so I think it's pretty safe to say that this is what is causing this issue. And it will even admit to keeping its responsive relatively short. I'm not sure why OpenAI would do this. Maybe they think that iOS or Android users want quick, short responses instead of lengthy ones, or maybe they're kind of secretly trying to save a little bit of cash here by having ChatGPT not generate as long of responses, because as we know, the more characters ChatGPT generates, the cost goes up. And with a huge influx of new iOS and Android users, they might be trying to save some cost. So guys, I was editing this AI news video and then OpenAI announced this. DALL-E 3 has been announced. This is pretty huge. DALL-E 3 is a massive step over DALL-E 2 or any other AI image generator for that matter in terms of sheer quality and raw output. We got a huge sneak peek preview at this model that I will link down below in this video, where an insider who had beta access actually posted a bunch of sample images, but now it's officially announced and it's coming soon to ChatGPT of all places, but it is not fully released yet. DALL-E 3 understands significantly more nuanced and detailed information than their previous systems, allowing you to easily translate your ideas into exceptionally accurate images. Here's some of the samples they provide. The first example here is an illustration of an avocado sitting in a therapist's chair saying, "I just feel so empty inside," with a pit-sized hole in its center. The therapist, a spoon, scribbles notes. So this is very natural language. It's not formulated like your typical Midjourney or SDXL prompt, and it's extremely accurate. You can see the text is perfect, the lines are very sharp, and it's just overall a very well-formulated image. You thought that Midjourney was good, well, get ready for this. This stomps over anything else we've seen before. Not to mention the hands are accurate, the feet and the legs and the anatomy is all accurate. Take a look at some of these other examples. Here we can see a 2D animation of a folk music band composed of anthropomorphic autumn leaves, each playing traditional bluegrass instruments amidst a rustic forest setting dappled with the soft light of a harvest moon. I mean, you want to talk about a complex prompt, there's a complex prompt for you. Either way, all aspects of that prompt are depicted extremely well and very accurate in this image. It's also sharp with a lot of coherent detail. Again, the hands, the little bits and details of each instrument. Not perfect in the instruments, but this is still better than anything else we've seen before to date. I am so excited to try this. Here we've got another long and extremely complex prompt. I won't read the whole thing out for you, but you can see the quality is absolutely there. Look how sharp and detailed this all is. And finally, we've got one of those classic chair tests that OpenAI is known for doing. This is a photo of a lychee-inspired spherical chair with a bumpy white exterior and plush interior, set against a tropical wallpaper. It's all very complex, and man, this really just gives me some true excitement for AI image generation. I wanted to see something this quality for a very long time, and it looks like it's finally coming soon. This is amazing. So as stated earlier, it's in research preview right now. That's the the sneak peek that I gave you guys in that previous video. Highly recommend you check it out for more examples. And ChatGPT Plus and enterprise customers in October will be able to have access to this thing later this fall. So it's not replacing the old DALL-E 2 website. It's going to be in ChatGPT Plus. Just another reason to get that $20 a month subscription. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on this, probably in a separate video, but I will link this down below. At any rate, let's move on to some 11 Labs news and then finish off with Google. So 11 Labs, which is the most popular and, in my opinion, the best AI-based text-to-speech out there, point blank period, has released something they call Projects, which is their long-form audio editing workflow for creators and storytellers. This has the ability to transform books into audiobooks at quite literally the click of a button, assign multiple speakers to different text fragments easily, and seamlessly regenerate audio fragments to get the best generations possible and the overall best result. Essentially lets you stitch things together and do massive amounts of text at once. Before, you would have had to do all of this manually, but now it's provided right inside here. Let's take a look at a quick demo of this.
Whether you're starting from scratch, pulling from a URL, or uploading EPUB, PDF, or TXT files, Projects has you covered. With your text in place, you can convert everything to audio at the click of a button. If you want to mix up voices in your audio, you can now easily assign particular speakers to different text fragments.
Chapter 1. The Bus Stop.
Hey, do you know when the next bus is?
Matteo asked.
I think it should be here now.
If you need to fix a section, Projects lets you seamlessly regenerate parts of audio without disrupting flow or intonation.
Hey, do you know when the next bus is?
Divide your work into parts to focus on one fragment at a time. And if you need a break, simply save your progress and pick up where you left off later. Projects also seamlessly integrates with professional voice cloning, voice library, and our multilingual model. So whether it's a pre-made voice, a voice from our community, or your own voice, you can use them all to generate long-form content in multiple languages.
Tutto iniziò a girare nella sua stanza.
Join today and experience Projects firsthand.
So the main takeaways from this, it's all available through the creator plan and above, and you can access this for a limited time at $11 a month. You're able to essentially upload entire books in many different text formats, which is pretty awesome. You can select different speakers for different parts of text, regenerate them easily, and change up settings pretty easily. So you could potentially do an audiobook in a very, very well done format. I don't know, how quickly could you do this? A week, a few weeks? Depends on the size of the book, but yeah, this is a pretty easy audiobook conversion, that is for sure. And even buying your own books and converting them yourself, I suppose, is possible. So there could be community conversions for popular books. Like, think about this, you could do all of the Lord of the Rings books with original clone voices from the movie. Think about that, that would be pretty insane. Either way, this is pretty awesome and is a huge step forward for 11 Labs. This is going to displace a lot of the work done by professional audiobook readers, and yeah, that's definitely a concern. So Data Chaz here on Twitter is providing us with a little bit of information on Google's biggest update to Bard, its ChatGPT competitor yet. By the way, Data Chaz is a phenomenal AI account here on Twitter. Highly recommend you follow him. They essentially announced extensions, aka plugins, but they connect to Google's biggest entities, something ChatGPT really couldn't do. So Google's trying to leverage some of their current properties and powers to Bard. Because as we know, Bard is kind of losing massively to ChatGPT right now. The highlights here are extensions for maps, YouTube's flights, and hotels. So you can have Bard help you with all of these things. Semi-integration with Google Workspace, including Docs, Google Drive, and Gmail. Google Fact Check, which is powered by Google's Search V2 engine to kind of see if the information Bard is giving you is correct. Although you have to wonder with this, why wouldn't you just use the Google Search V2 engine in the first place? Anyways, they've got a little video that they've made for us. I'll go to YouTube so it's in the higher quality for you guys, but it summarizes things well. Let's go ahead and take a look.
It's hard to make an idea come to life when the information you need is in different places. But now, you can collaborate with the world's information and your own, all in one place with Bard. With extensions, Bard can now connect to Google's apps, and even gives you the option to pull in your own information to make it all come together. Like when you're making a plan. Or when you're prepping for the big day. Or when you want to make sense of something. Bard can even help you make memories. Pull in the info you need just when you need it, so you can keep your ideas moving forward with Bard as your helpful collaborator. Try for yourself at bard.google.com.
Here's the full update list. You guys could read through it if you want. Obviously, in that video, they showed off some really good examples, but again, the connection and utilization is only so good. I did a little bit of testing myself. It can pull limited information in. Like, for example, it was able to search my emails, but could only pull in up to 5 emails at once. I'd like to pull in, like, hundreds of emails if possible. I want it to sort through everything for me. But it seems like the Bard models, like the chat model behind it, just is not powerful enough for that yet. Can't handle that much data. And there were times when it would just straight up say, no, I can't access Gmail. I don't know what you're talking about. So that's some like tuning it needs to have in its AI brain there. And I also saw users on my Discord have troubles with it. But overall, this is definitely a huge step and probably the biggest and best update to Google Bard yet. We're still waiting for that Google Bard model to just get a little bit better. We need something that's like as good as GPT-4, and then that's when we will see some serious head-to-head competition between ChatGPT and Google Bard. And also, I say this every time, why did they name it Bard? It's a horrible name. They could have named it literally anything else. Anyways, Google Bard is entirely free. Test this thing out. Let me know if it's useful for you guys. I'd be keen to hear back. And finally, this is the first time I am talking about it on this channel, but Google does kind of have a secret trump card or weapon against OpenAI and ChatGPT, and they call it Google Gemini. This is like that ChatGPT-4 level model or even greater. Like, this is supposed to be an extremely powerful large language model. I'm presenting this information from the Rundown AI, which is a fantastic AI news website run by Rowan Chung. He is also phenomenal on Twitter. Follow him and also follow the Rundown AI. However, rumor here on the street is that Google is giving early Gemini AI access to different companies. It's a very small group of companies, but they have given access to test its new chat-based AI system, Gemini. And this thing apparently is a true OpenAI smasher. As we know, this base model is able to power good chatbots, it can summarize text, write content, and more. Everything you expect from a chat model, but just very accurate, very good, like GPT-4 or Claude 2. And companies so far only have access to a smaller, incomplete version of the full model. Google aims to make Gemini widely available via Google Cloud, which is like its developer coding platform with API stuff, and they want to compete here with OpenAI's API access. I will say Google Cloud is way more complicated than OpenAI's API, so maybe make your Google Cloud a little bit simpler. As we just talked about earlier, Google has been doing everything they can to try to stay ahead in the AI race, but they're still falling short of OpenAI thus far. Apparently, Gemini is like its biggest generative AI play yet. This is its biggest swing of the bat, its biggest smoking gun against OpenAI. Again, this is a really phenomenal summary by the Rundown AI, so this is a fantastic resource for AI news and staying up to date. But I don't know, we'll have to see what Gemini Access is like and if the model is really as good as people say. So that is my AI recap for you guys at the moment. Again, get subscribed, stay up to date for more on AI news. It's been a pretty crazy week for the big AI players and AI LLMs in general. Check out those new Bard features and that new GPT-3 Instruct model and let me know how they perform. I'd be interested to hear your feedback. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.